Flight boss, bitch, you know, for sure. You're not listening to the Mind of an Antares Moon. I'm the Archangel Uriel, and I'm here to carry out God duties and motherfucking responsibilities. And right now, we finna go to war on a few shit, because you know what I'm saying? Like I said, I'm the Archangel Uriel, and you're gonna have a lot of people who watch my videos and hear me speak on just the simple fact of me saying Archangel Uriel. They're gonna tie me to a whole bunch of other things. Listen, I'm not religious. The sake of me using Archangel Uriel is because of the energy and the presence it carries. I don't give a fuck what English name or what kind of annotation or wherever the frequency you feel like, as a person who do a lot of studies, feel like Uriel came from. That's not my concern, because I don't give a fuck about your language or anything that's dealing with this realm of reality in the first place. But I know the type of energy and the type of presence I carry. And dealing with astrology, I know what type of astrological angles I have in order for me to call myself what I call myself, and what I feel like I'm being, and what I feel like I am, and what kind of being I'm in that's being used as a vessel, as this spaceship I'm in. So, you know what I'm saying? As far as anything else, we can have discussions on that. But for the most part, I want to talk about, as far as in general, anybody who, I don't give a fuck who you listening to, because there's a lot of people in the conscious community, a lot of people, a lot of religious people, a lot of this, that, and the third. Look, I don't give a fuck what rituals or what spirituality or what kind of annotations you align yourself with. I'm Archangel Uriel. I've been through many raptures. I've been here many times. It's just the difference between me and you is I might be able to remember a little bit more than you can. So if you got any discrepancies about any knowledge I'm kicking, that's up for debate. But for right now, I'm telling you what's real. Now, anybody, I don't care what consciousness they're into, spirituality they're into, religion they're into, if they're preaching to you or enlightening, feel like they're enlightening you about anything that makes you feel like you have to go to the past, I don't give a fuck what they is. It can make the most sense of the word, of any type of word they're expressing to you. If any scripture or any type of enlightenment any person in the conscious community or anything try to teach you, if it have any annotations about it that says you have to go back, it's wrong. It's wrong. All right? Anytime somebody tell you have to go back, you have to look towards something in the past. And if you look towards it, don't everything make you do that? Don't everything make you look towards the past? So now we're dealing with knowledge. So now we understand that mankind is trying to put you in the realm of reality where you feel like you have to obtain a certain amount of knowledge to learn certain things. And we know knowledge is tied to the left brain, which is square. So they're trying to make you feel like that you won't be able to understand anything without some form of sense of logic or knowledge. Logic, knowledge, information. Now, information can be received in two ways, which is in knowledge and wisdom. Wisdom is more intuition, more psychic. Knowledge is more left brain, more logical, more rational. What we have here, we have a confusion between the right and the left brain, and we have people who tie themselves to spiritual inclinations, or tie themselves to religious inclinations, or tie themselves to other type of inclinations, science or whatever like that. And what they do is they tie what they can't explain from the right brain to the left brain, and then the smarter you are, the more the smarter you appear to be in this realm of reality, is the more confused you can appear to be amongst the right and the left brain from the realm of reality I live in. You see what I'm saying? So the smartest people you could point to, and the people who think they're the smartest in this realm of reality, are the most confused amongst the right and the left brain, because they can logically and incoherently communicate to you what they feel like is going on in the right brain. And the better a person know how to make sense out of the left brain, the better a person know how to make sense out of the right brain with their left brain, the more it's going to allow others to make a logical thing to themselves, understanding to themselves that this may make sense. Like, this makes sense. You know what I'm saying? I mean, a logical decision. That's what I meant to say. When a person can logically make sense more than another person out of the right brain, this will lead another person to feel like, to make a logical decision within themselves that this person must be telling the truth. This is another reason why the realm of reality we in is trying to tie everybody to the left brain. Now listen, I'm telling you, with every civilization, we're supposed to come up with a new inclination to the insight that we see. Now the insight that we see is tying into the sun, because the being, you could go to we living in a living being. Go to my video and I break down how we're living in a living being, and how this living being that we're living in is a representation of what all religions and all people are trying to tie to is actually God. But this actual being we're pointing to is not actual God. Actually, God is just you're actually a being within this being, but you're a being within a chakra of this being. And this being, the planet alignment is this being chakras, what builds a complete being. As you are able to have a space within the space, as you're walking as a being with this human physical body, that's the same way this being doing. It's just at a higher frequency, higher vibration. So you can't understand the physicality of it. You can only understand the pieces of the physicality of it. So when you look up, you only can see the pieces of it, which is the sun, the eye of it, the moon, the emotions and the feelings of it. You know what I'm saying? You're just in one chakra of it. You're in the earth part, the physicality of it, the growth part of it. You know what I'm saying? And by you being able to have a spaceship and a vehicle, an enlightened body in here, on this plane of existence, which is the earth chakra wheel, you're able to receive a lot of information from other planets and other lights and stuff like that. So as you being able to be developed as a species, you're the more information you can receive from the sun, the more information you can receive from the other lights, and you could be able to filter it. But the sun is the main filter, because it's look, for an example, when you go out of sun gaze or go out in the sun, your body and your eyes and everything receive the sunlight. Now the sunlight, if it's an eye of a one-eyed being that you're in, right, then you're receiving the light and the energy of everything it sees from the light it's receiving and the realm of reality and frequency vibration it's at. So you can only conceive of it from a piece of your point of view, because you're a part of the being it's in. But you're receiving a piece of the whole light, which everyone like you are in their own way. So when you go out and sun gaze, you're basically when you get enlightened and you see things and you understand things and understand things, whatever like that, you're just receiving information from what the overall, the being that you're in is seeing. And the sun is the most important part of the body of this being that you're in. Same way your eyes and your mind is the most important part of you. You know what I'm saying? Now, when we go to the moon, when you go out of moon gaze, you're catching all the emotions and the feelings and the emotional stance of this being you're in. You see what I'm saying? So when you catch that light, you're catching the yin light. Remember I talked about the yang direction and the yin direction? The yang direction, when you want to look up, you look up. If you want to look down, you look down. If you want to look left. The yin direction, if you want to look up, you feel up. If you want to look down, you feel down. If you want to look right, you do something or feel righteous. If you want to look left, you feel left field. So you know what I'm saying? Right here, the moon is the emotions and the feelings, and it's the directions that you can't see. You know what I'm saying? And it's the directions that the being that you in can't see. So anything that you emotionally has a stance on is just a piece of the overall emotional stance of the being that you in. So for an example, they want to say like, reason why, look, when we go back 2,000 years ago and 2,000 years before that, this being was in a different space within space, and the space it was in is going to represent the characteristics of how this being see things in general. You see what I'm saying? So the species in it is going to witness ramifications of what this being see, because the species in it, they go outside and go up under the sun every day. They're in Earth every day. They go outside and they witness the moon every day. They witness energy from communication of Mercury every day, just by being in this existence. So this is how you pick up a signal. You're like an antenna, and you're receiving the signals of the being that you're in, and the being that you're in is receiving signals from the world that it's in, however it sees it. But however this being sees it, you have to you're not going to be able to understand it in that way. But if you want to make comparisons, compare it like this: a freaking dog is never going to see things the way you see it, because you are a higher being. Now, a dog is a species with, just like you are a species within the overall being species we in. But for an example, the species that we're in is basically the alignments of the planets. And it's a solar system. Solar systems are beings. We see them as solar systems as separate entities, but as separate entities, the alignment that they create is one. So when we become as one with this entity, we'll be able to understand things that way, and you'll be able to understand it the way you understand it as you being in the physical body right now. So when you see a dog, you are a higher being in the same dimension. You know what I'm saying? So you are enlightened. You could receive more information from the sun than a dog can. So you understand more frequencies from Mercury. So you're able to communicate and analyze and think better than a dog. You're able to receive more information and light from Venus. So you're able to express love, appreciation of value, and relativeness in this physical form than a dog can. This is why, since you can receive more information from the sun, and all the lights and stuff get filtered through the sun, because the sun is the light, and that Venus is the representation of energy, frequencies of love, how you love, appreciate, value, and relate to others. And if you're getting, as you being in this spaceship, in this species on this earth, if you're receiving more of that than other species here, then you have more of that to give. This is why you are able to have a pet. This is why you are able to have a dog. You are able to love a dog more than a dog can understand love, because you can receive more information of that frequency than a dog actually can. The small mind and the eyesight and the frequency of a dog, they have more added stuff to them. So they're added weight and density, and now they have been brought down in their soul or their spirit. So they have been shot into a lesser vehicle, a lesser spaceship, a spaceship that can handle their level of intelligence as a soul, or as a soul coming from a spirit of the idea of the soul, which is the spirit, coming from that realm of reality. Depending on what life travels it was on, the level of intelligence is going to shoot into the spaceship that's best accessible for the intelligence. And if you're a human right now, you ascended, right? And if you've been living like a dog your whole human existence, when you die and come back, that's the level of intelligence you had. So you may come back and go into a dog in order to learn more situations that you may have didn't learn, that the universe may have thought you had learned before, when you was playing the characteristics as a dog when you was in a human vessel. Or you may have been a dog who may have elevated and manifested itself into a human, so you start to see things in a human way, but you still have a lot of dog characteristics. So if you didn't learn the process to elevate as you was as a human, and you still was acting as a dog, but when you was acting as a dog as a human, you was putting yourself in all these type of situations to try to make you wake up and act more human-like and get out of the animalistic trait. But if you didn't and you died, your soul may just come back as a motherfucking into a motherfucking physical dog when a fucking puppy is born. You see what I'm saying? Because you didn't learn it. Your soul intellectual position is only receive an antenna vibration from a dog's point of view. You see what I'm saying? So you have a lot of dogs, a lot of cats, dragons, all kind of shit living in human beings right now who may not even can understand the concept of enlightening themselves as the human, because they may not even be human yet. They may just be running around in a human vessel because the being that they was in had learned how to ascend. You know what I'm saying? But didn't ascend with the physical, spiritual, and the soul. They just ascended in one way. That's just like a person here, a person who gets a lot of money, right? So they may have achieved something. They may have achieved something with the body, but they may not have achieved something with the soul, which is the emotions and feelings. So they may have got a lot of money, but they may shit on other people's emotions and feelings, make them feel down because they don't got a lot of money. So when they come back, they may come back as a physical representation of something, or something like that. And your spirituality is your idea, your space and room and opportunity. But getting into back to the being that we in, we're always supposed to look towards we're always supposed to live in the present, create the future, and that which becomes the past. that we can look back towards to see that if it worked or not. Now, any type of religion or culture or anything that's trying to lead you and tell you you have to get back, family, or you have to get back, brother, or you have to get back, my fellow Christians, or you have to get back, or you have to look towards the past, or you have to look towards that, you're already being led in the wrong direction because you're living in the present. But if you haven't to utilize the past in order to understand the present, it's not going to work that way. And that's what all religious and conscious niggas out here nowadays and everybody is doing right now. That's basically what they're doing. They're telling you that in order to understand the present that you're in right now, you have to go back to something. You have to go to the past. When no, in order to understand the present right now, you have to understand the present so you could create the future, and that what was the present becomes the past, so you can go, and the past should only be analyzed to see what went wrong. Now we have all these religions and all this shit right here. We can look back and tell what went wrong. Nothing worked. Nothing worked. I don't give a fuck what you talking about. If it worked, it would still be here to this day. It wouldn't be modified. The whole purpose of something being modified is because somebody got enlightened from some new information. So if you're living in the present, your whole main goal is to obtain new information, not obtain past information in order to understand the present information in front of you. It's to learn new information while you're in the present now, in order to understand, in order to get through, and then look towards past information in order to know what not to bring to the present. That's what the past is for. The past ain't for you to bring it to now. The past is for you to understand what the past was so you can know what not to bring to now. You see what I'm saying? Now look, let me break this down as far as this being. This being as the sun being the eyes, the head of this being, the moon being the emotions, the feelings, and everything of this being, the Mercury being the communication. But you just see it separately, but it's all as one, and it looks like a species, and it may look mankind-ish a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Because you are a form of a representation of the being you're in. You know what I'm saying? So let's break it down like this. Alright, this is why we're not supposed to look towards the past. For an example, alright, they say our solar system, which is the sun and everything that we're up under, is going into the age. We know what an eon of age is. We know what all that is, so we don't need to break that down. It's going into the age of Aquarius, right? Now, the age of Aquarius. Now, in my last video, You Are Living in a Living Being, when I broke down the characteristics of this being, when this being was born, it had the planetary alignments of all the planets being in the home. And all the planets being in the home is the moon being in Cancer, the sun being in Leo, the Mercury being in Virgo, you know what I'm saying? Venus being in Libra, Mars being in Scorpio, you know what I'm saying? Jupiter being in Sagittarius, Saturn being in Capricorn, you know what I'm saying? Uranus being in Aquarius, you know what I'm saying? Neptune being in Pisces, and people don't know that Pluto is exalted in Aries. That's the way the alignment go. That's the way the alignment go. So you could almost say that Pluto rules Aries also, but it's exalted there. Now here's what happens. Now when the negative side, the yin side, the emotional side of things of this being is when all the planets go into the other homes. So this is everybody got two sides. They got a right and left brain. So I don't want to say it's the negative, but I want to say it's the both sides. You have a right and left brain. This being was born on the left brain side of things. You know what I'm saying? So that's when it was logically can be pointed to. You can logically connect planets now. The chakras between itself now, right? It came into and it's the characteristics of it, right? Now, the opposite, the right side of it, how it feels, is when all the planets is in its other homes. You know what I'm saying? That's like if the Venus is in Taurus, Mercury is in Gemini. You know what I'm saying? Now, notice the only two planets that don't move is the moon and the sun, because this is who you are. Just like who you are, your actions and your reactions, the sun and the moon. So this is who this being is. That don't move. That don't have another home. It just has an exaltation where it feels most excited to be. You know what I'm saying? But look, check it out. When all the planets is on the other side, which is Mercury being in Gemini, Venus being in in Taurus. You know what I'm saying? Freaking Jupiter being in Pisces. You know what I'm saying? This is the emotional side of this being, right? And then the exaltation of the planets, which will be the falling of the which will be the fall of Mercury, which how it travels within the alignment of within this being as a vibration. You know what I'm saying? When it spins itself. You know what I'm saying? This being is going to be less at communication, more at expression. Because when the sun is in its exaltation, that's the head, so that's where the head is at. The tail is Pluto. The head is if it's in Aries, right? Then that means Mercury can only be a sign of from our interpretation of it by being mankind. Mercury can only be a sign away or within the same sign. So in this case, when this being is in its maximum expression, which all the planets in the exaltation, Mercury itself could only be non-expressive, like it being in Pluto. I mean, like it being in Pisces, or it could either be too expressive. I mean, non-communicative, and non-thinking and analyzing why it's expressing itself. If it was in Pisces, it could be too expressive, and if it was in Aries, and it could kind of slow down and kind of make sense out of its communication, but not to the full degree when it's in Taurus, when all the planets is in exaltation, because the sun will be in Aries, and the moon will be in Taurus, and Mercury can only be in one of those three signs. So right here we got the sun going into, see, this is every time we get into some shit. So I'm gonna cut this fucking house phone off. The only reason I got it because to shit like that, but I don't even need it for shit like that. But look, now when you want to look at the sun going into Aquarius, right now, like I said, the sun head is what's leading leading the rest of the body. Your head, your eyes is what lead the rest of your body. When your mind think you want to move your hand, you move your hand. Your mind your mind and your actions move the rest of your body. So the sun and the moon is what's ahead in controlling the rest of the planetary alignments and what's going on. Now the moon, reason why the moon doesn't travel the same way the sun travels, because the sun is which you logically conceive the other planets travel. If the moon dealing with the emotions and the feelings, that's irrational. You can't understand that. It's just an emotion and a feeling. So it feels where it's at. So you can't never logically point to your emotions and feelings. Just like you can't never logically point to a rotation that the moon gonna have around the sun. It has its own rotation. You see what I'm saying? So it's the emotions and the feelings. So look, this being is getting ready to go to through the age of Aquarius. So right now, like I said, if it was born with the head coming out in Leo, you know what I'm saying? Then right now, where the head is going is in an opposite space in the sky. It's going into the opposite space, and we know in a higher frequency realm of reality,